Hello everyone, how are you going? We will just let a few more people come into the room and we'll be very shortly. So we'll just give them a few more minutes as the numbers are still creeping up and we will start in a little bit. Maybe wait for one or two more. It's already over 30 odd or so nearly. All right. We'll give a few more minutes. It's going up quickly now. So, hope you're well anyway at the moment, everyone. All right, I think maybe it's enough to start now. It's nearly 40 in the room. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to today's webinar, the Introduction to the Electronic Security Industry. My name's Matthew Harvey. Some of you might not know us yet. I'm Head of Sales for the ESI division at Blue Chip, and I'll be your host for today. The session is scheduled for about 30 minutes or so, and everyone is muted. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please enter them into the question pane at any time, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. We have 10 gift vouchers to give away to 10 lucky attendees that will win out shortly after the webinar. So we'll email later on who wins those awards. Our presenter today is Hansley, our technical sales specialist. Hansley is an experienced product engineer with demonstrated history of working in the IT and security field. Skilled in sales, account management, closed circuit, networking, surveillance, and the rest of the security world. Strong sales professional with a Master of Engineering and my technical guru. Now, without further ado, I'll hand you over to Hansley. Hansley, over to you, mate. And guys, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Hope everyone has been well. As you might see, well, today's topic is going to be about electronic security. So we'll just quickly run through the content of today's webinar, so you guys can have a rough idea what we're going to be talking about for today. All right. Okay, so here's the agenda for today. So we have a few main questions we want to answer within this short 30 minutes webinar. So big question is, what is electronic security industry? I'm pretty sure some of you might have already been dealing with a little bit with the electronic security products from your previous business or from your current job. So we want to give you a better understanding of what this industry is all about. And then we're going to talk about how it can help you guys to with your business by entering this industry. Okay, there are quite a bit of benefits of selling product and services in the electronic security industry. So we'll just bring through them one after one. Okay, and then there will be some little details about how you can prepare for your first deal if you've never sold any electronic security product. So there are some policies and some knowledges that you might be able to, you might be required to be obtained before you are ready for this a whole new business. So we're going to touch on that. And the last part, we're going to talk about why Blue Chip is always going to be the good partner to help you with your new electronic security business. And the very last section of the day will be question and answers. So just a reminder again for those who just jumped in for the last 2-3 minutes. So we have a little questions panel on this go-to webinar. So you can use that to answer, you ask your questions whenever you feel like, and at the end we'll just answer the question. Okay. All right. So now let's jump into the main webinar of today. So I'll just turn off my screen so you guys can focus on my slides. Okay, first topic of the day. So what is electronic security? So in general, electronic security is more like a broad term which applies to all manner of security systems so that utilize electronic and for the security purposes. So it's a very rough definition of what electronic security is. So we'll just touch on some of the typical systems that you might encounter with before or may not, so you can have a feel. All right, first of all, as you might have already have in your mind, so we have CCTV, which is short for closed circuit television system, which is one of the very typical electronic security systems. So you can see them everywhere on the street, inside the building, in the stadium. So everywhere use video surveillance as a very good way of deterrence and also an incident capturing for general public security and safety. And the second very common system when it comes to electronic security is access control system. So this is more for the use of controlling access to a premises and building. So it may not be just like indoor offices or commercial buildings. It could also be warehouses, car parks, and maybe a big complexes. So you might need this access control system anywhere. So when we're talking about having access to the premise, it's not only just for a physical building, it could be lift as well. So if we're talking about a high-rise apartments, so access control when it comes to a larger application has many various use. And the third system that is very typical system in electronic security industry is the intrusion alarms. So this is also a good system to help to be used as a deterrent to any intruders and protect the properties. So if you're looking at the current technology in the market, so many of the vendor has already kind of merged the access control system, the intrusion alarm system into one. So you might see a much bigger hybrid system when it comes with both of the benefits of these two systems together. And one of another portion of electronic security that people sometimes may not actually think that it belongs to us is video intercoms. So in video intercoms, in certain ways, performs very similar to an access control system. So they give you the ability to press a button, talk to a certain people, and ask for access to the building, or maybe through to certain levels of the building via the numbers you dial in. So on top of just the access control capability, video intercom, of course, by the name of video, also provide a video verification by embed a security camera, a high definition IP camera onto the intercom, so you can have the visitor and the owner to be able to see each other when they are initiate a talkings after pressing the button. Okay. So these are just four of the main format of a electronic security system. So there are actually a lot more other little system to it. So there are some systems you might see that a smart car park guidance system is also commonly sold by electronic security installer. And there are some other little system like video ultra related system that is also be sold as a peripheral or maybe a little accessories that comes with any of this security system as well. Okay, so after knowing about all this common electronic security system, so one thing we want to be noted is that all of this above, they are all IP based system. Okay, so in older days, in maybe 20-30 years ago, you might still have some of the security camera using a typical old school coaxial cables. Access control system, even until now, they still use maybe 2-core or maybe 4-core, sometimes 6-core cables. But in general, all of this system, when it comes to the real interface with the operator and the user, they are all IP capability, IP supported. So the reason why I mentioned that is just to give you guys rest assurance that this system is not some rocket science that you're never gonna be able to learn. So they are already IP based. So all you need to know is just about what camera and what access control reader is good for what applications. Okay. All right. Moving on. So what does electronic security system really do? So there are many purposes of using security systems. So by the name of security, of course, the main purpose of the electronic security system is for property protection, of course. So these barriers depends on if it's commercial use or private use. So you see this alarm system nearly everywhere in commercial buildings and in residentials. And of course, other than property protection, so you also want to use a security system to protect the person as well. So no matter if it's the employee in the company or maybe it's just the house owner of private residential buildings, so both the access control system and the alarm system can be used as a good ways of deterrence to intruders. And on top of that, for large applications and large commercial or warehousing buildings, the security system is used for 24/7 monitoring. So this 24/7 monitoring is not only just for video surveillance. So we also have people who sit in the control room looking at the screen to monitor at the door status of enterprise building and also the alarm status of any of the commercial premises. So this, of course, brings the security system into the next level. If you want to have extra help, then this control room guys, security guys will be able to help you monitor all your properties real time. Okay. And another good application of electronic security system is for evidence, is to be used as evidence for incidents. So on this little snapshot you guys can see here, so we have body-worn camera to be used by the cops. So this has already becoming a very big industry in electronic security as well, that the people wear this body-worn camera when maybe the patrol guys, the council rangers, or the cops, or the security guards doing their duty. So this could be used as a very good way of evidence capturing when there's a conflict that is generated, or maybe when there is an incident that the staff on the scene wants to capture as evidence. So not only by all these professional employees, professional industry workers. So since probably early last year, from 2020, so we also see a trend of the retail workers tend to want to use these body-worn cameras as well. So other than this ruggedized, very professional body-worn camera you guys can see on the picture, we also have some retail body-worn camera as well, like a mini sort of cut look body-worn camera that can record for certain hours of recording, and good to be wear on the staff for retail, hospitality, restaurants, and bartenders. So of course, just because of COVID-19, we've seen trends of increasing numbers of assaulting to all those frontline service workers as well. So body-worn camera could be a good way of deterrent towards all those incidents as well. And more to all those four above, so we also have the electronic security system, especially the video surveillance system, to be used as a good way for work process control. So you might have already seen it's very common that people will have a security camera installed near the POS machine, near the counter or the cash register, just to look at all those transaction details, making sure that the workers and the staff are working ethically, and also making sure that when there's a conflict regarding to any cash business or any item missing, so you use the security system to be a good way of evidence to be provided to the cops or maybe to the customers. All right, and then more towards this, the video surveillance system especially has also been widely used in video analytics. So when it comes to the terms of video analytics, we're not talking about just for the purpose of surveillance, just for the purpose of security. So we're also talking about a wider range of use when it comes to maybe business analysis and commercial environment analysis as well. So some of the technologies that has already been widely used, including automatic number plate recognition, so which is the picture we've shown over here. So you have the number plate automatically being recognized by the system thanks to the smart cameras on the edge, and then you can control the boom gate on the premises or maybe the boom gate on the car park to automatically open. And we also have system that is linked to the LPR system that you can have maybe the charging system to be integrated as well. So the whole process is automatic, so people don't really have to get the ticket and then submit the ticket on their exit of the building. So they have to finalize the payment. Okay, so LPI is just one example. There are some other very interesting technology like people counting and heat mapping, which is widely used for commercial business environment as well. So especially for large, shopping centers and the retail shops, that people, especially the owner of the business, wants to understand how many people has entered my premises. So people counting technology on the security camera is also able to help as well. Okay, so, and also thanks to the COVID-19, so some of our brands also introduced some COVID-19 response technology as well. So of course you can think this as another way of protecting the safety of the general public. So we're talking about some of the new technology, including no face mask detection and fever detection and this social distance detection as well. So any of this technology is also backed by the smart algorithm on the current IP system. Okay. All right. So there are actually a lot more applications than what we covered here. So, but if you're looking at these 6 of them, they probably accounts to, I would say, 90 to 95% of the application when electronic security will be required. All right, so let's move on to the next topic here. So after I understand what this industry is about, then we want to ask another question. So who needs electronic security system, or where we can sell the electronic security system to? So my answer is everyone. Okay, so if you're looking at places that will require this system, we're talking about different verticals and different tiers of customers, up all the way up to government facilities and public facilities, including schools, hospitals, shopping centers, and all the big transportation, including airport and train stations, and commercial buildings, of course, warehouses, factories, and retail shops. So any of these facilities, they all need security system. Okay, and of course, if maybe many of you guys have already got home alarm system at your own house or maybe townhouses, and there are also more people start considering using security camera for their own house as well. So there are a variety of combination of technology that you can sell to any of these locations and customers. So of course, for different tiers of customer, we are talking about different tiers of products with different tiers of capabilities. So for high-end customer like government and commercial, you might have to consider using all 3 main systems or maybe 4 systems that we mentioned earlier. For private and retail customers, you might be only probably looking at alarms and possibly plus CCTVs and access controls. So, but just in summary, so I would say the needs for the electronic security system is huge. So nearly everyone needs the system. It's just a matter of what system will suit their needs and their requirements. Okay, all right, and now here comes to the next main topic of today. So how can it help you business by entering this industry? Okay, so first of all, we want to guarantee you that this is going to be a good addition as a bundle solution that solves more than just one problem of your customer. So below screenshot is a very typical context of a tender that you will see for a major construction or maybe a big project. Okay, so you can see I've already highlighted using several green and red color bounding box to list the items that many of our current security integrators and installer has been able to touch on a big tender. So those two highlighted in red, of course, security system including access control, alarms, and the CCTV cameras, and you also have intercom system. Sometimes is also required. But on top of that, if you're looking at all those bounding box in green color, we're talking about many little things, including UPS batteries, fiber optic infrastructure connections, telephone backbone cabling, and Cat5 Ethernet cabling, and of course audio-visual system that we see many of our customers have always been able to offer into their main contractor or maybe to their customer directly. Okay, so basically you can see that the security system will be a very good addition to a large proposal. So if you have a brand new project, of course, that gives you the opportunity that you can lock in more business to this particular customer, and that works for your customer if they only have to deal with one particular supplier other than shopping around for different things from different vendors and suppliers. Okay. And keep moving on. How can you benefit from entering this industry? And of course, as I mentioned, it's security industry, security product is just like a very little starting point that will help you to lead to more sales with any of the peripherals and accessories. So we're talking about network switching devices, of course, for all those large deployment of CCTV cameras. So especially when you're talking about a large area of, or maybe a multi-site or remote site deployment, so you will need a huge chunk of network switching devices, including not only just PoE switches, Ethernet switches, aggregation switches, and sometimes you might also need a wireless point-to-point link as well, and backbone wireless link. So depending on what sort of network connectivity requirements is. And on top of that, of course, we have to worry about backup batteries for redundancy. And depending on what sort of system you're selling, if it's enterprise security system, especially security cameras, since you need a big server to hold the storage, so enterprise data server is also going to be something you can add on to your security sales. And a workstation performs as a client interface for the operator. So for large enterprise, for large properties, so you will have a huge need for workstation as well. Okay, and like the shopping center and the stadium I mentioned earlier, if they have requirements for real-time monitoring by the security personnel or maybe by the security guard, you will also need screens and displays. So, and more towards that, if there are additional storage need, you can also have a NAS and IPsec involved in a bigger package to your customer. So as you can see, the security system is not only just about those I mentioned. So if you open up the door to the business, so of course there are a lot more to it. So any of these little things are just like an add-on. So what we're finding with our customer is that a typical sale comes from a core product like your security access control system, or maybe from your CCTV system. But however, if we open up the conversation with the customer, our integrator are normally able to cross-sell many of these little things as well, which adds more gross profit and margins when it comes to a big project as a whole. Okay. And some further points onto the benefits of entering this industry. So in general, electronic security industry is a market with higher margin. Okay, so the competition is still there, but when it comes to, so I would say when you're looking at maybe residential or retail, there is quite a bit of competitions in between. So the margin is relatively lower, but once you are managed to move your steps up towards maybe mid-tier of this whole market, or maybe on the top tier, so there is always going to be a good a return of the investment. Okay, and also the electronic security business is also heavily involved with all the labor works. Considering all the cabling, because I know many of you guys must have been dealing with IT infrastructure deployment already. So if it's for a building, so if it's just Ethernet cables and fiber backbone, we're only just talking about inside the building. But when it comes to electronic security, we're talking about wiring every single cables to a door, wiring for the locks, for the electric strike, and we're also talking about each single room to have separate wires for the alarm PIR sensor. And when it comes to security camera, So we're talking about, all the network connectivities through to the external of the building, or maybe some remote location of the premises as well. So hence why I mentioned that. So installation and also the servicing of the security system is also making up a huge chunk of the whole portfolio of the security business. Okay, and more towards it, so this is also a very fast growing industry. So we're talking about roughly maybe 2 to 3 years gap in between each major generation of technology. So taking a CCTV system as example, so back to maybe 2-3 years ago, we're still looking at maybe 2 megapixel resolution camera as the benchmark. So if you have 3 or 4, that will be a premium sign pretty much. But looking at 2 and 3 years later, simply just with the system we're selling, 3 meg is pretty much like an entry point, but the people are asking more like 5 meg, 8 megapixel, which is 4K, and even for some of the big stadium or high-end premium customer, so our offering can have up to 61 megapixel resolution on one single camera. So not only just with the resolution of the camera, of course, there are a lot more video analytics technology involved with security camera as well. So people are asking more smarter camera other than just thumb camera, just purely doing recording. So any of these technologies are very quickly to be deployed and introduced to the market. So for big enterprise and government, we're looking at on average 3 to 5 years as a generation. So when it comes to existing customer for your electronic security offering, so they might come back to you every 3 to 5 years, say, I know there's a new technology coming in, so can you probably looking at to upgrade the system for us? So you can see that this is going to be an ongoing business for you. So as long as the new technology keeps evolving, so you always have the opportunity to help the customer to get hold of the new technology. Okay, all right. So after talking about what's about the electronic security industry, so the next question we want to have here is how to prepare for your first deal. Okay, and of course we want you to become a registered cabler, or maybe your staff to become a registered cabler if you want to do the cabling. So like I mentioned earlier, so labor is going to play a very huge chunk of the service and the money of the whole project. So if you do provide cabling services, which is going to be a good add-on to your existing business already. So if you don't have any cabling services to your customer, of course, it takes time to train your staff to get the cabling license. But if you do consider provide cabling and infrastructure deployment for your electronic security system, cabler license will be what is going to be required. And then the next step for you guys to move on is the security master license. So this is requirements for the business or the companies who wish to sell security product. So however, the policy is not unified across the whole country. So we are talking about different rules from different states. Some of the states may require a compulsory security master license in literally, so if you want to sell security product. Some of the other states may have different rules. So on this screenshot, I'm just taking New South Wales as an example. So you get the security master license from New South Wales Police Force Department. So they issue the master security license. So of course, there are some little process that you have to follow. So we probably won't have time to probably touch on in detail today. But if you guys do want to inquire more information, we're more than happy to help you and guide you through of how we can get this license for you. And after you get the security master license for your business, there are also security license for the staff or for private that who needs to apply as well. So I ask you guys just ignore this ugly picture on the snapshot. So in general, I would say there are different categories of security workers. So those who provide physical security, like the guards and the patrol staff, they need to get a certain class of security license. And us as a security distributor, we need to get our class 2B license, which is security seller. Okay, and class 2C is for security experts. So any of these license is also obtainable from the same department. For example, if it's for New South Wales, it is from the New South Wales Police Force Department, and the different states might have different rules as well. So, but by mentioning that, I would say it's not necessary to have to get this license if you want to sell maybe just a little portion of the security product we mentioned before. So for example, video intercom is a product that is not required to have this license to be able to sell. Okay, yeah, so it depends on product, it depends on what sort of size of job. So there is quite a bit of different rules applied to here. So if you're happy to discuss, we're more than happy to have a in-depth talk with you in regarding to this. Okay. And of course, after you get all those basic requirements, the next step you want to do is, of course, to learn the product that you want to sell. So below logos are representing the brand that the blue chip is selling as our electronic security offering. So we have different tiers of product for your CCTV offering. So if you have a customer who have a need for security product, feel free let us to try to explore a bit more requirements from your customer, so we can guide you through for your first deal as to what sort of question you want to ask, what sort of product will be more suitable for what sort of customers. Okay, and after all of that, what else we want to do? I don't think there's anything you have to worry about. Let's just start coding straight away. Okay. All right, moving on. So why do you want to use electronic security product from Blue Chip Infotech? So I'm pretty sure many of you have been aware of the merger between DNA Connect and Blue Chip. So both me and Matthew Harvey, we both come from the electronic security division of DNA Connect. So starting from this 1st of August, we are officially moved under Blue Chip Infotech. So some of the benefits of using the new power after the merger between Blue Chip and DNA Connect is that we're going to have a dedicated ESI team, which is electronic security and infrastructure team, who has got decades of security industry experience to help you. So we are able to help you not only just from the sales side, also including the support, pre-sale, system designs, and everything that you want to be look after, that we can help you from there. And of course, Blue Chip has already got a very broader range of product lines, so especially like those accessories and peripherals that I've already mentioned. So if you have electronic security business you have logged in, so dealing with us gives you the opportunity that you can open up a much wider range of product you might be able to cross-selling to your customer. Okay, so we're not talking about only just electronic security and all those peripherals. We're also talking about, on top of the electronic security needs, if the customer requires cybersecurity product, we have them. If the customer require enterprise UPS, we have all those different brands. If the customer require workstation or the server, we have all of them already available through the Blue Chip channel. So you can kind of becoming the whole IT/electronic security provider of your customer, other than just to solve their one little problem. And of course, you guys have been dealing with Blue Chip before. We have a localized support, and we also provide stock holding for a large and a variety of products across the 3 main warehouses across Australia. Okay. All right, something in detail about what we offer. So from pre-sale support, we cover design assistance, and occasionally we provide on-site visit as well, especially for you guys who is new to the electronic security industry. So our engineer and the sales guy are happy to go out with you to meet with your customer, run through a site survey, and then we can understand the requirements And by the interaction, you can also show your customer that you got the support from your supplier and the vendor, so which helps you also increase the chance for you to win your business. And of course, after the design and on-site visit, we provide bill of material generation and fast quoting, and of course, if there is demonstration and training required, we have the resource and the facility to provide you all these requirements as well. And when it comes to sales support, we do within 4 hours quoting for small and medium-sized job if it's a project. So we also have project pricing that we can have negotiation with our vendor, and of course we have all those value add, including all those brands that you can see from the right hand side that you can add to your main core offering to your customer. And for post-sale support, we have a very efficient logistics services across the whole country. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a large whole chunk of stock sitting on the shelf of our Silver Water office in New South Wales. And we also have warehouse in Victoria and the WA that can, get things out very quickly. Okay. And RMA process is also handled by us, so you don't really have to deal with the vendor, the brand, the manufacturer themselves. We are going to be played a part to help you organize all those RMAs and returns. All right, so that's pretty much all for today's main content of the webinar. So as you can see, we only just having a little bit brief discussion about this industry. Of course, that might have bring you a bit more questions. So feel free to use the question panel on this GoToWebinar to just ask your questions. And of course, we'll share our contact at the last. And if you have any question, you can probably ask that as well. Okay, now, so I'm gonna just open up the question panel. So I'll just see what question has been asked so far.
So thanks,
so
Hans,
feel
for the
free to type
presentation.
in more questions.
Let's have a look and see what questions we have from the audience. Any of your questions, please type them in now, guys. We have a few. I'll take the first two hands. You can take the others two's coming. Yeah. One of the guys asked, each Australian state has different physical security regulations. As a security hardware software reseller, what license do I need to have place of online drop shipping with Blue Chip? We probably haven't decided if we drop shipping straight to end users. I would suggest if that's the case, we would have to check if that particular customer has their licenses for those regions. We're not really an online dropping company in the security industry. As you know, it does have a certain regulation, and we do need to make sure the people buying and sending gear this way has to be licensed. Okay, so it's a little bit different to maybe for drop shipping any other normal blue chip products, and especially with a Vigil and the higher brands, there's people need to be certified depending on what lines. LTS and Aerotech probably more likely, Guardle okay, but you still probably need to be licensed if you're going to do that. Okay. Also asked, can we get this presentation via email for future? Sure, it's getting recorded, so everyone will be able to be emailed this. And remember, this is only an introduction type question, more for the wider blue chip type people, audience out there. We usually do sort of much more advanced ones depending on what brands and what technologies and stuff and other stuff. But yeah, another one from Andy. What software are you using for video analysis? To answer your question, Andy, a lot of the surveillance brands can do this and make video analysis type product. It's a very wide category of its own. To answer your question, the Vigilon is probably the highest ranked video analytic brand on the planet. Okay, very enterprise. Most of the patents in the world, Vigilon owns more than anyone else. So probably a good product to use it. But then again, it's also enterprise money. All right. So to answer your question, it depends on your customer. All right. So I mean, feel free to email any of those advanced questions later on as well. Hans, you can do the next one if you want.
Just to make a little bit addition to Matt's answer to end this question. So yeah, as Matt said, there are different tiers of product for when it comes to security, especially video surveillance. So you might have large enterprise servers running VMS, and you also have little standalone recorders for little retail shops. So when it comes to video analytics analysis, there are a variety, and there is a very different types of video analytics that we're talking about. So some of them may require software like a Vigilant for the accuracy and for the best performance. So some of the little video analysis, like I mentioned, could be like the people counting could also be utilized just the standalone recorder box from the TrueVision AeroTag brand as well. So I think it depends on what the requirements is, and also depends on the scale of the application. Of course, with more camera than to have the smart enabled, of course you need different sort of hardware and different level of software to cope with the requirements for the processing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I've got another question here. What are the specifics of Victorian secure license? What is the license called? So
It's just the Victorian license is nearly the same as New South Wales's format. So they have a master license in Victoria, and same as like individual security license. So most of the big states are very similar. Handful are slightly different. ACT slightly different, maybe to an NT, but most of the big states are very similar. Okay, so it's not the be all and end all, but as Hans mentioned earlier, the higher the level of site, because if you start doing a site and if a cop manages to bump into you and you're doing the job and you're not licensed, they can carry on and give you fines, right? So it's not to scare you fully, but it's a question of if you decide going into the game a bit more than you usually would. Most large electricians will somehow get their security license. Any of the large Eaton guys, I'd imagine, probably a lot of the large Switch brand guys, it's not too hard of an add-on for them to do it, right? Mick just asked another course. Simply getting registered depends on your license, Michael. Getting registered if you just want to sell, most states it's okay. Same as like applying, say, for a guard license. It's pretty straightforward. They might do a little couple of day course. Your security selling class is not too much. To do your installing, you usually would need to do some of your cabling classes, and they usually ask a lot of that to prove that. So especially if you're going for those sort of licenses, as in when Hans touched on, you want to be NECA or another form of cabling approved brand, because usually the most of the police will ask you to prove that license to go ahead with your next security level license, right? But most, like I said, any cabling back license usually would be part. So I guess it depends if you're selling versus if you're going to go up on the ladder, right? If you're going up on the ladder, putting something in, then you'll need that cabling license as well,
Yeah, so the process of getting the secure license, for example, if it's in New South Wales, is actually not that hard, maybe as you imagine, because so basically for the master license, there is categories of as to how many people are going to attend the site to provide the security services. So these are different. These are the tiers different for you to apply for different tier of license. But as for the process, it's just a matter of register yourself with the police department, and of course there will be a police background check. Of course, they don't want to have people who have bad records to be able to provide security service, because themselves may not be secured enough already. Yeah, but other than that, there is no special training that's required if you just want to sell the security product. So this master license, this security master license is just more to be used as a regulation that they want to know who provide these services when there is a problem happen, so they can go back and track this person and to know who actually provide the services. Yeah, so there are some training required, but for the private, for the individual security license, if you want to become a security consultant, but very rarely, I would say, majority of our customers doesn't really require the consultant license. They will just need a specialist license, or maybe just a security seller license. So any of these license, you just need to get background check with the police, and then just get your fingerprint read by the police department. And it's just a matter of maybe 1 to 2 months, and then you can just get your license issued straight away. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
if there's no more questions, Looks like there's no more new ones.
There's actually one more, Matt. So I just got another people ask. So what's gonna happen after the BCIT and the blue chip merger? So do we still talk to our current BCIT account manager, or do we reach out to the electronic security and infrastructure division for the security products?
Are you asking me, or are you asking yourself?
Yeah, I reckon maybe
Okay,
that's a quite good question probably for you to answer.
the question is, if you already have your account manager and you already assigned your normal account manager, you still reach out to them like any others. I guess we're here from a separate side of a coin, but at the same time, I guess you could look at us as a sales/PM team. Realistically terms, if you've got your normal account manager, you reach out to them, and then we still help yourselves with that. I guess if you don't have under account manager, it's up to yourselves. But yeah, you don't have to. Feel free to talk to your normal account manager like any other day. It's okay.
Yep. Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
I think that's all the question we have so far.
Okay.
No worries.
All right. Well, if that's any more questions, we thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. We'll make many more, and any other more advanced questions, feel free to email us any questions. And I guess officially, I said October 1, but August 1, but it's really October 1 officially we're in the blue chip day-to-day team. All right. So from October 1, our normal emails will be like, for example, on the screen you see the ESI at Blue Chip IT will go to all of us. And yeah, we look forward to working with you in the future. And have a nice day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.